Welcome to America, period. I'm Matt Sweets. Now, as you can see, this chair here is empty. Al Buchtan, who's running for the 46th Senatorial District here in Pennsylvania, he was supposed to come in for an interview today. He's running against the current senator, fellow Republican, Camera Bartolotta. Now, absent Al failed to call me, failed to send me a text message, failed to send something on social media saying, hey, I'm running late or I won't be able to make it. Nothing. Absent Al failed to show up. Now, if this was mainstream media, I can guarantee you he would have been a half hour early for this. But here we are, a half hour late, and he's a no-show. Absent Al. Which makes me wonder, okay, maybe it was a staffing communication issue, so that leads then into his managerial and leadership skills. If he can't manage an office and provide good communication amongst his members, how the hell is he going to handle Harrisburg? Absolutely ridiculous. Which then makes me wonder, okay, if you're a no-show, will absent Al even show up in Harrisburg to represent us and vote? One has to ask that question. And the other part of this too, if you're really hungry and you want to win an election, you would think you would come on a show like mine. And the reason being is that we average between 50 and 100,000 views across all the platforms. So, and 93% of them are here in Pennsylvania. You would think you would want to get your messaging out, especially with all the negative campaigning that's been going on from both sides of the fence. Now, I've seen things from him suing a municipality because he did not get a contract, suing neighbors, apparently a government loan that he never paid back. As a school board member, he's raised taxes. And he allegedly gets dark money from some out-of-state skills game company. Now, some other fun things. Between all those real endorsements, apparently he slipped in a few fake endorsements. I've seen that recently on social media, so we haven't been able to verify that. And I love the fact that Camera Bartolotta shared text messages that Al sent to her, and they're all positive, saying how much he loves her and to borrow his convertible anytime for a parade. So who is Al Buchtan really? Or are you just absent Al? Now, he also apparently donated to Biden and Kamala, and the big one, Washington County versus Greene County. Al is a resident of Greene County. However, he lied on his paperwork and has a home, allegedly, here in Washington County. Now, it's along the Route 19 corridor. He picked a community that has high population and high voter turnout, which is predominantly Republican as well. So I get it, why he did it. However, if you can't be honest about where you live, how are you going to be honest in Harrisburg? I wanted to know more about that. He had the opportunity to really explain all these things, as well as share some positives. Don't get me wrong, this interview was going to be a very positive, him selling himself to the public, to sharing his message to our viewers, and he failed to show. Absent Al. So where does he really stand on the issues? Now, I've received plenty of positive mailers from him, and it's the same cliche stuff we constantly hear. We're going to fight to lower taxes. We're going to fight the current governor. We're going to fight for you. We're going to end the corruption that's going on in Harrisburg. Okay, that's all the cliche bullshit that we've heard a million times. What are you really going to do, and how are you going to do it? Again, this was not going to be a gotcha interview. It was an interview for him to share who he is and to also address some of these negative attacks on him. Again, absent Al, where are you at, man? You failed to show up here. Are you going to fail to show up in Harrisburg? Now, moving on from absent Al to the 50th Legislative District, which is currently held by Republican Bud Cook. You have Ben Humble. He's a Waynesburg City Councilman down in Greene County, and he's running against Bud. In terms of literature or what Ben's about, I really don't know. I haven't seen any literature. All I've seen is social media posts of him putting up signs places. Now, that's all well and good, but anyone can put up signs, and signs really don't vote. So, you can go on these right-of-way areas and do the cliche photos all you want. That doesn't win an election. I hate to say it. You have to have some substance. On top of the fact, there are claims out there that he's bought and paid for by a senator sitting here in Pennsylvania as well. Is there any truth to it? Who knows? All I do know is he did post something saying he returned the money to that senator in a response to people having some type of uproar saying he's in someone's pocket. So really, Ben, are you an independent thinker or are you someone's puppet? I mean, which one are you, dude? Do you just go with the wind, or are you going to stand up and actually be someone who fights against the machine and fights for us here in southwestern Pennsylvania? Now, Bud Cook, Bud's Bud. What can we say, right? He never raises any money. He has no money, but the man is hungry. He will go and knock on thousands, tens of thousands of doors to get elected. And it's shown to be true over the past several election cycles. He's beat some pretty big names in the Mon Valley area. And Bud, he hasn't really done much of anything. He's done some cute little stupid proclamations, which every politician loves to do because, well, it's easy and requires no real hard work or any decision making. Has he introduced any legislation? To the best of my knowledge, no. But he's already in Harrisburg. We have him there. Why start rocking the cradle a little bit with someone who might be in someone else's pocket? And I mean by Ben Humble being in someone else's pocket. Now, the one thing I do have an issue with regarding Bud, he wants to move the LSA money. That's the local share account funds. That's gaming revenue. He wants to move it out of the locals' hands and back over into Harrisburg. Now, I can tell you this. The local share account here at the local level is corrupt. Imagine that, that goes true for any county receiving that money. Okay, that's not specific to Washington County. On top of that, he wants to move it to Harrisburg. Now, if you think the corruption here locally is bad, imagine what could happen in Harrisburg with all that money. Pet projects and things we don't need to pay for will happen, as opposed to it staying here at the local level for us to help decide what projects we want to see happen. Even though there's a little bit of funny business that goes on, even at the local level, I'd rather have it here than all the way in Harrisburg behind some closed doors. So there you have it, folks. Again, this is not an endorsement for any candidate in any race. You have Camera Bartolotta and Al Buchtan for state senator. You have Bud Cook and Ben Humble over at a legislative district for House representative. So there you go, folks. You decide. We're going to have tons more coverage leading up to May 19th, the primary election here in Pennsylvania. Make sure you have your voice heard. Get out and vote. And as always, make sure you like, follow, share, and subscribe to the America Period Network as we are building tons of original programming here. Thank you for tuning in.